going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in Joplin, Missouri. Now Joplin is known for so many things. We'll kind of go over them a little bit in the video, but one of the things that they're known for is the famous Bonnie and Clyde Shootout, specifically the Bonnie and Clyde Shootout Garage apartment in Joplin, Missouri. So what we're going to do today, we are going to obviously go to the garage, but also along the way kind of take you along our journey, show you around Joplin a little bit, talk about what Joplin major disaster happened here not that long ago, and kind of what they're known for, what they're still recovering from. But either way, hope you enjoy, and let's go check out another cool Bonnie and Clyde adventure. Let's go. Last night we stayed at the Joplin Hilton Garden Inn, and as you can see, it is a frosty morning if I ever did see one. But we were up bright and early, had some breakfast, and now we are heading to the famous Bonnie and Clyde Shootout Garage. So, just I guess a background on the town of Joplin before we dive into the Bonnie and Clyde stuff. They had a major, massive EF5 tornado. EF5 is the largest, highest category of a tornado, just kind of like a hurricane. But they had a EF5 tornado in 2011. Killed 161 people, injured 1,100 and some, 8,000 buildings, homes, businesses destroyed, and they're still kind of recovering from it. So when we came into Joplin, we kind of noticed that a lot of the buildings were brand new. Obviously, they had to rebuild a large portion of the town. And actually, last night I'll throw in some clips, but we went to see the memorial that they have here set up in Joplin, and that where that memorial was, it's called Cunningham Park. That's like the ground zero of where the tornado hit and did the most damage in that area. It was very humbling and peaceful to see. But yeah, Joplin from today will obviously never forget that. It was the 7th deadliest tornado in American history and the state's deadliest. All right, let's dive into the Bonnie and Clyde fun facts, if you want to call them fun facts about Bonnie and Clyde. So pretty much at the time, Bonnie and Clyde, obviously they're known in Texas, right? They're both from Dallas. A lot of the barrel gangs from Dallas. They're known in Texas and Oklahoma. In Missouri, not so much. At this time, the date exactly is like the month of April, 1933. Buck, his actual name is Marvin, but he just gets out of jail. That would be Clyde's brother, nicknamed Buck. Just gets out of jail, and pretty much Buck and his wife Blanche, and then obviously Clyde and Bonnie and their friend W.D. Jones, they want to have a reunion. So Buck goes out, and pretty much he arrives first at this apartment, and they were going to rent it, which they did. And he rented it under a false name. I'm not sure exactly what the false name is right now, but anyway, Buck arrives first, and it's the 5 of them. The first 2 weeks go pretty well until they start to get low on money. And then, obviously, they're getting low on money. They're going out. They're spending money they don't have, shouldn't be spending, but they do. So Clyde decides, well, we need more money. So they start robbing actual houses around the Joplin town. Not even like banks or anything. But they start robbing houses around the town, and the neighbors start to notice. So the neighbors start to notice that there's a lot of weird stuff going on at the house. They notice like 2 guys, basically Buck and Clyde, changing license plates in the yard or in the driveway, and they start to take notice. So what do? They alert the local Joplin authorities. Wow, that was actually a really quick drive. I didn't think it was going to be that quick. 6 minutes from the apartment. Yeah, from our hotel. But we have arrived. Holy crap. South Joplin Avenue. And I'm going to walk up a little bit to the house. Of course, there's a garbage truck coming. Well, there's a garbage truck coming. So we're going to take a mini detour. But, you know, I wanted to actually see what the town, the streets in the neighborhood looks like, where the famous house garage apartment is. But anyway, The date is April 13th, 1933. There's a constable. His actual name is Wesley Harriman. Wes Harriman. He's a constable. He arrives. A detective arrives. 2 troopers and 1 officer come to investigate. Now they have no idea that it's Bonnie and Clyde staying there. They just they wanted to check out what's going on. They thought maybe they were, sneaking moonshine, or this is during Prohibition, sneaking alcohol or something along those lines. All right, wow, there's been a lot of commotion on this road. Of course, as soon as I start to film, I don't like that. I want all the focus to be on the house, but now we are going to take the walk. West 34th Street, and now I'm on South Joplin Ave, but we're going up West 34th Street. Man, so if this is the first time visiting my channel, I'm a big fan of the whole Bonnie and Clyde story. Obviously, I'm not, a fan of what they did, but the historical side of it, I am, especially since I live in Dallas. Oh my gosh, and the owners are here. That's who, somebody owns this actually, but that's why I think the owner's truck is parked in the garage. But anyway, I've been waiting forever to see this. If you like Bonnie and Clyde, make sure you check out my Bonnie and Clyde playlist. But this is awesome. Holy crap. This is where they stayed. Oh, and he has his garbage can in front of the sign. I literally can't make this up. As I'm filming this, look at this. The garbage can's coming to pick up the garbage from the Bonnie and Clyde house. These are the adventures of travel filming, and you guys are seeing it in person. Okay. Wow, I would never expect this much commotion to be on the street. But anyway, I have to read the sign because you have to. Historic site, Bonnie and Clyde Garage Apartment, 1933. Clyde Barrow, Bonnie Parker, Buck, and Blanche Barrow, and W.D. Jones rented this apartment and holed up here for 13 days. On April 13th, 1933, law officers from the Joplin Police Department and from Newton County, seeking suspected bootleggers, approached the dwelling. The outlaws opened fire on them, killing Joplin Detective Harry McGinnis and Newton County Constable J.W. Harriman. The Barrow Gang escaped, leaving behind a roll of Kodak film that yielded the first publicly seen photographs of the infamous gang, and obviously Bonnie and Clyde. That's why I think this house is such an important part in the Bonnie and Clyde history, because up until this time, they had no idea that they had no idea what they were, who they looked like, and this is where all the film was taken from. So obviously I'll throw in a bunch of photos of them here, but this is where everything was taken. I hope the owner doesn't come out and not like me filming this, but I mean, it is a historic site, so I didn't come from Dallas to Missouri to not get this on film. So anyway, this is what we're doing. But okay, let's just kind of replay the scene, right? So it's April 13th, 1933. Like I said, detective, a constable, 2 troopers, and 1 officer come pulling up. And they pretty much park their car in front of the garage to block the garage, right? In the meantime, Clyde is closing the garage on the left side, this garage right there. Can you imagine that? Clyde Barrow's closing that. Obviously those are not the same doors, but he's closing the garage down. And when he does that, the constable Harriman approaches. He gets out of his car, approaches there, and he walks up to Clyde. What does Clyde do? Automatically pulls out a shotgun and shoots him in the chest. So Wes Harriman, who's the constable, is lying halfway into that left garage right there, and he dies pretty much on the spot. The next officer, McGinnis, I believe his name is, he then gets out of the car and is shot, I think, from one of the windows. Shot from one of the windows. I don't know if it was by Buck or W.D. Jones. I'm going to assume it was Buck. but then he also is laying here in the driveway bleeding. Now Wes Harriman would die on the spot. We're actually going to go see his gravesite, so stay tuned next for that. And the other detective would die later that day in the hospital. But once that was done, they pretty much, Bonnie and Clyde and the gang, left everything in this apartment. They got their whatever they could grab, which wasn't much at all, and they flew, and then they all got in the car, and Clyde took the car, flew it out of the garage there, rammed, busted out, and then they went driving, I believe, down the road right there. How crazy of a story is that? But yeah, right up these steps, the famous Bonnie and Clyde garage apartment. I've wanted to see this for so long, and I'm finally here. You know what I'm kind of not happy about? I brought my Polaroid camera. I love Polaroids. I wanted to take a picture of this, but obviously the truck in the garage or in the driveway is not going to look the same. But whatever, I'm gonna have to go take a photo anyway. At the end of it, there would have been about 60 shots fired. A ton of them went into the apartment. Gosh, I've seen that there's holes in there in the apartment, but I'm not gonna go looking, especially since they're here. But both officers died that day. At the end of their raid, Bonnie and Clyde killed 13 total people, 9 of them being officers. Crazy stuff. Now what's cool, actually, so a few years ago, the guy whose truck is parked there, I believe, he bought it and he actually rents it out on Airbnb, so you could stay there. And boy, did I want to. It wasn't even that bad. I think it was like $200 a night. You had to stay for 2 nights, but I didn't care. I was gonna go and book it, but it was when the weekend that we were coming up here, it was already booked, and I was pissed. And we couldn't. This was the weekend. We already had everything else booked. We were gonna do. Weren't gonna come another weekend, but maybe I told my wife maybe someday I need to go and stay in there. I'll throw a couple photos in now that you could see the inside of the apartment, what it looks like today. But it'll be another Travels with Nick adventure to stay there in the future. Well, I finally did it. I made it to the Bonnie and Clyde Joplin garage. Crazy stuff. I'm glad to be here. Now, let's go check out the detective Wes Harriman's gravesite, which is kind of down the road, a couple minutes, but I'll see you there. All right, we've reached the town of Saginaw, the village of Saginaw, and you got to see this. We're on our way to the cemetery, but you got to see this road we're going through. Whoa. My wife was like, I don't even know if this is a road, but this is where the maps want to take us. Holy smokes. How often do you drive through something like this? Like ever? Yeah, I'm pretty glad we decided to go to the cemetery, because just driving through that alone was really cool. Whoa. This is the road to the cemetery. I thought this was a driveway, but nope, this is the road. Wow, we made it. Saginaw Community Cemetery. Oh my gosh. This is just on a hill here in Missouri. Very small cemetery, but we're on a mission. Let's find the gravesite of Constable Wesley Harriman. Harriman, I don't know which is technically the correct one, but Either way, his grave should not be too hard to find. Okay. So like I said, he should not be too hard to find. Now, I want to set the record straight. I've done so many Bonnie and Clyde videos, and I get so many comments that not everyone, but there's so many comments that people say, you know, oh, why are you celebrating two cop murdering bad people, blah 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 blah. And okay, let's just set this straight here. I'm not a fan of what they did. I don't obviously, you know, celebrate Bonnie and Clyde or anything. The fact is, I live in Dallas, Texas, and I'm a fan of history and dark history and historical stuff, and there's a lot of Bonnie and Clyde stuff in my hometown. So, therefore, doing all the research, I get into the whole Bonnie and Clyde story, and that's that. Another factor is, you know, a lot of people in the comments will say things like, you know, you never talk about the police officers that lost their lives or anything. All you talk about is Bonnie and Clyde. Well, guess what? Today, we're in the cemetery trying to find the gravesite of one of the officers that lost his life at the hands of a shotgun blast to the chest from Clyde Barrow. So today we're going to pay our respects and try and find his gravesite. Okay, unlike other cemeteries, there's no plot numbers for this, but thankfully there was a photo online and I matched it up with this road right here. It's the whitest headstone in the cemetery. And here he is. Actually, there's a couple people buried here, but Harriman. Wesley Harriman is right below us, and you can see 1891, 1933. April 1933 is when the Bonnie and Clyde shootout happened. And as I said, at the Bonnie and Clyde garage apartment, you know, he got out of the car first. Clyde was closing the garage door. When he got out of the car, Clyde grabbed the shotgun and shot him right in the chest, and he fell pretty much in the garage and died almost instantly. But he left behind a wife and 2 kids. That's what's very sad about the life of a lawman or a police officer. Like, you go to work and you just never know if that's going to be your day that you come back. But yeah, I don't know if this grave has ever been on YouTube before, so I will gladly be the first to show it. A lawman died by shotgun blast from Clyde Barrow here outside of Joplin, Missouri. Okay, so you probably see this grave, well, this headstone is so clean. I mean, it's actually that their other one right there too, Harriman, however you want to say it, but both of them are so clean compared to like all these other headstones, and there's a reason why. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll put it in the video now, but a retired lawman who lives in the general area found out that Wes Harriman was buried here, and when he came to pay a visit to his grave, it looked all just gross and rusted, and it didn't look good. And I'll throw in a photo now so you could see it. But he's retired now, and he kind of just picks grave sites like this, headstones like this, and kind of what he does in retirement is come up and cleans the headstone. But look how nice and white he does, and this guy hand cleans it. And I was reading the article on it. He said it should be good for about 10 years. But yeah, whenever I visit a gravesite in my videos, for anybody who's notable, I like to give just a little tap. So he's right below us. Yeah, very sad. Cool to be here though. After further examination, we could see this whole plot right here is like the whole family. Harriman, one or the other. Some Harrimans died 1854, 1917, I think. This one must be really old. Super hard to even read that. Here's where Wes Harriman is buried, like we just said, and here's another one. Wow. Birdie, 1920 to 1920? I guess a baby. That's so sad, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, back then, especially in the early 1900s and earlier, it was hard for babies and young kids to make it, you know, past their first few years. But it looks like both of these are kids, even 1924 to 1931, and then 1920, 1920. So it looks like the Harriman family had some tragedies for sure. But either way, beautiful morning here outside of Joplin, Missouri, to come and pay our respects and see them. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed another Travels with Nick, Bonnie and Clyde video. I definitely threw some feelings out, how I feel when I make these videos, but like, come on, people. I read the comments and I see how they are. Either way, if you enjoy Bonnie and Clyde stuff, make sure you check out any of these other videos. Check out my full Bonnie and Clyde playlist. And I'll see you in the next one.